Welcome back to the Pigskins and Politics podcast. It's time for some politics. So for those of you who stuck around through the NFL episode, really excited to have you here. We have another supersized episode coming up for the politics chat because we have multiple guests. I believe it's the first time we've had multiple guests for the politics, so really excited to get their take on some things. The Biden administration is now officially begun, so I'd love to hear your thoughts. But first, I'm contractually obligated to introduce my co-host, Will Southard. Will, we just talked about football. Are you ready, dude? You ready to talk some politics? How you feeling?
Let's shift into talking about young white dudes to talking about old white dudes. That's how we do it here at the politics chat.
From Josh Allen to Joe Biden. That should be our theme, our motto.
That's right. That's right. That's right. But I guess that happened, right? That was the thing that went down. The inauguration and all of its
a little
memes.
Uneventful. I mean, after everything that went on, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, oh no, a president got inaugurated.
Bernie at 10 o'clock, dropped off. He went to the post office. 11 o'clock, swung by Joe's thing, and at 1 o'clock, he went and did his dry cleaning. Bernie was with the mittens.
And I love that. Obviously, there's memes all over the place for this, but the one I like the most is Bernie looks like the husband who's waiting outside of Target for his wife, because just wait outside, wait for the wife to get done shopping, get outside. And apparently those mittens sold out, like the person who made them not available anymore. But yes,
they're made from recycled bottles. Of course they
are.
He got them on the campaign trail. We don't deserve Bernie. Bernie's too pure of a human, he's not electable.
So let's bring in our other two guests. Roger Walsh, who's joining us on the NFL podcast, stuck around for some politics, host of the Rajcast Sports podcast. Roger, why don't you tell us, first of all, how you feeling after you got all that Bills emotion off your chest? How you feeling? Are you ready to do some politics? And tell us kind of where you sit on the political spectrum.
Well, I grew up in a Irish Catholic household. Buffalo. JFK as God.
He didn't grow up in Buffalo. If you shut your mouth, you can listen to him tell you where he's from. Continue.
But, look, the one good thing my father taught me was inspect your candidates, the ones you throw your emotion and thoughts behind. And Joe Biden is a career politician. Let's be honest. He has done some seriously nefarious things, but look, at least the adults are back in the room. At least this is kind of over, and they have handed him a giant bag of odorous excrement for them to deal with.
Yeah, but tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm going to left to Bernie. Bernie doesn't go far enough, by the way. Bernie, thank you. AOC, I do like her. But yeah, that's where I kind of.
So I'm going to guess that you're just a teeny bit on the left, is what you're saying.
Just
wide left.
A wee bit to the
for the
left.
football term, wide left. Okay.
As long
awesome.
as it's not wide right.
Fair enough. And our other guest, we have Jen Weintraub, who is one of the hosts of the Speculate With Us podcast, which is a podcast that centers around conspiracy theories. I've already started listening to it. It's fascinating. Highly recommend you check it out. Jennifer, welcome to the PPP. How you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
So tell us a little bit about your podcast. Yeah.
Okay.
So wait, your podcast is do you just go on QAnon's feed and you're like, yeah, maybe this?
No.
Is that what, and you talk about? Is that what you do, or how does it work? Tell us.
I 100% hate QAnon and everything that has come because of QAnon. I was talking to Brian about this earlier. I very much think every conspiracy has been discounted now because QAnon believers are now all of a sudden the people who also question 9/11 and things that have happened totally prior to QAnon. QAnon to me has been, it was started as maybe some kind of intelligence, and then it was taken overseas and used to manipulate people. It's 100% a cult. And I like just because I've subscribed to some conspiracies does not mean I believe any of that bullshit at all whatsoever. So, but I would lean more right in this.
So I used to work with a QAnon guy.
Did you? I haven't. I've yet.
I used to work with a QAnon guy, and he showed me a real one. Oh yeah, no, I worked with one, and he showed me this. Apparently, like if you translate like Kobe into Hebrew or something, it was talking about like Kobe actually got assassinated.
Kobe Bryant.
If you look, just yeah, bro, and it's all related. It's all related, and like there's just these string pullings. And Hillary Clinton is like, she's a child porn ring leader person. Dude, it's just like so far in left field that you just kind of like
right
laugh,
field,
man.
No,
whatever. Yeah.
No,
it's out of the freaking
back in the day. It would have been the leftists that were.
I am welcome for
your
perspective.
Back in the day, it would have been.
Hey, there's people can be conspiracy theorists,
right? But now it has to be like.
I will tell you, as someone who was in the government for a long time, I was 10 years in the military, I can 100% tell you that there's not much intelligence there. We just kind of do things. So anyway, it should be a good episode.
So we kind of got a jump start and went ahead and started jumping into the political deep end, if you will. But that's not how we do it here on the PPP. There's a reason that we don't throw ourselves and our listeners direct from the crazy football talk into the crazy politics talk, and we're not sadists, you know. So we're gonna have a little bit of a palate cleanser, right? We're gonna bring out, as Will likes to say, have a little charcuterie, have a little cheese, have a little wine. We're gonna cleanse your palate, talk about something completely unrelated before we go in and talk about the politics. So our illustrious co-host Will has suggested Cobra Kai. So for those who don't know, although I think most people at this point know, Cobra Kai is a spin-off based off of Karate Kid, which is a show that I'm sure most of us are at least familiar with. I certainly grew up with it, where everybody's older and Daniel LaRusso is older and they're running their own dojos. I've seen a few episodes, but obviously I'm going to start with Will on this. Will, why did you want to talk about Cobra Kai today as our palate cleanser?
Well, Cobra Kai is one of those, like, so I saw the Karate Kid, right, like way back in the day, bro. Like, you know what I mean?
Otherwise known as the 80s? I mean...
Yeah, and like when I was born, yeah. And like it was a thing, but like it wasn't, you know, I mean, that wasn't my 80s movie. My 80s movie was Bloodsport, which is like the quintessential, like, best movie ever.
That's Van Damme?
Did you say Bloodsport?
Yeah. Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Never, ever seen
You're not missing anything.
You know who Jean-Claude Van Damme is, though, right?
Of course, yes.
Of course.
If you've seen one Van Damme movie, you've seen them all. So, Jen, you're good.
That's also true about.
Right.
That's also true about listening to AC/DC songs. By the way, it's 17 albums of the same song, and they're all glorious. Anyway, so we were like, we watched a lot of Netflix, and I see this show. It's like, you know, trending number 2, number 1, number 3 on Netflix, and I'm like, nah, man, like I don't care. Like Karate Kid was corny. It's like you know what I mean, like.
Mr. Miyagi, wax on, wax off.
Yeah, like they really redid that, and we skipped over that for months, or years, I guess, because it's like 3 seasons in now, right? And finally, we ran out.
Released, yeah.
We ran out of shows, and we were like, "All right, let's just give this a chance." And like first view, man, I'll get your thoughts on it, but way more adult than I thought. You know, I mean, there's the adult humor going on. There's a little bit of, you know, that aspect to it. It's still corny as hell, but it's amazing. And if you put those two together, you get Corn Maze. I don't know what that means, but
that was a fail.
It's a pretty good show.
That one will not be a clip on.
You know, in your head, you were like, you know what? You did. So, but anyway, that's my thought. It's like a guilty pleasure. Like I don't have anything else to watch. Hey, they're 30 minutes long. Do you
know where the show originated? Do you know where it started? Because it didn't start on Netflix.
No.
It was a YouTube show. Not YouTube
really?
Like this podcast on YouTube.
I remember
like
that
YouTube
way back in the day. Yeah.
Was like Netflix creates their own originals, so this was YouTube's original. So everybody was like, really? That's what you're doing? But it worked. And it got a big followership on YouTube to where Netflix bought the show from YouTube, and now it's like supersized huge. So here's my thoughts on it, and I would love to hear from Jen and Roger, even if you haven't seen the show, whatever your thoughts of the phenomenon around it. I was actually a huge Karate Kid fan. I saw Bloodsport. Yeah, whatever. It was, you can't understand every third word that Van Damme says, but fine. But I loved Karate Kid. The first one, Mr. Miyagi, beating Johnny at the tournament, and then the second one in Okinawa, all that. Loved that stuff. So, of course, I'm like, well, I got to check out Cobra Kai, especially when it got to Netflix. I wasn't going to watch it on YouTube because, that's just weird. So it came on Netflix. I watched the first few episodes, and yeah, there's the bonsai tree, and Daniel LaRusso is like a car dealer now. And it had some fun throwbacks, and it was, he's going to start the Cobra Kai, but I lost interest. I couldn't. There was the, kid who gets getting picked on, but, Johnny is still a jerk, and I don't know. I want to hear more from Will about what resonates with him. You put something on.
I mean, I'm just, disclaimer, I'm, a couple episodes into season 2, and I'm really excited about the pending boning of Johnny and Miguel's mom. I know it's going to happen. I'm just waiting for it to happen.
I didn't even get that far. I got 3 episodes in and I gave up.
And it hasn't happened yet, but I know it's going to happen, and it's going to be glorious when it happens.
And that's all Will's in it for. Is when does the boning happen? Right?
I don't know, man. It's a little predictable, right? I mean, you kind of see the plot lines developing, and so I wouldn't say it's the best thing of all time, but it's. I think I enjoy the random little aspects of adult humor that they throw in it, like a kid's show,
Roger, have you seen the Karate Kid, Cobra Kai? What's your take on this?
Well, have seen the Karate Kid, and
all the sequels or just the first one?
Just
this
the
is
first
important
one.
Context. Okay.
Yes, just the first one. Everybody loves anyone else standing up to a bully or a group of bullies, and
who didn't do the crane kick as a kid at some point in their lives, right?
Yeah, I tried it. I fell on my ass. Are you kidding me?
Of course. Yeah.
But no, I have not seen the series. If you want to really binge something, I think Better Call Saul would be your option. But that's me.
Okay, and Jen, I think you mentioned you haven't seen it, but what are you aware of the show? What are your thoughts of Karate Kid? What are your thoughts on this as a show as itself?
So my husband is a definite fan and wanted me to get into it. And usually I'll give things a shot, but that one I fell asleep and I'm bad at falling asleep during TV anyways, so because the only time I get is
I do the same
night.
thing. I can't.
When you
stay up
say
past 10.
that you're bad, do you mean that you do it all the time, or you try really hard but you fail?
No, I literally get a show in, one episode, and then I'm passed out on the couch.
Right.
It's so hard for me to watch and listen to something at the same time. I'm very ADD. That's why I love podcasting, right? Because I can listen and clean the house or something. But
my wife does that, and I get irrationally angry.
Do you?
Yeah.
When I get angry, I clean the best.
Oh, really? So
and then
I'll
I anger everybody enough to start cleaning around me.
We'll sit down to watch a show, right? And she'll be like, and I'm like, nope, you're not gonna make it. And she'll be like, no, I'll make it. Just put it on. And I click it on. 10 minutes, bro. 10 minutes, and I look over, and she's like, and I'm like, what are you doing? I was like, go to bed, damn it.
And then
I turn it off.
Then you have to guide.
We legitimately have the exact same scenario.
I'm the Jen in this, and I'm your wife, Will. I do the same thing. My wife gets so angry. She's like, you got to stay up. I'm like, I'm up. And in 2 seconds, I'm out.
Brian has a hard job of not working.
That's why we watch Arrested Development or The Office on repeat, because
you don't have to pay attention.
It's a very good background show.
Right.
It doesn't matter if I fall asleep.
Yeah, and my wife falls asleep on the couch with her neck at the worst possible angle. So it's like, come on, we got to go to bed, and you just gotta pile her up.
No, I
guide her to the bedroom.
You know what I like doing?
I love the couch.
When she falls asleep on the couch during TV, I'll quietly turn it off, and I'll turn all the lights off, and I'll just go to bed.
Just leave her there?
And she'll wake up at 2:30 in the morning, mad, just, alone and
mad.
Yeah, because I didn't wake her up and tell her to go to bed. I just leave her there, and she
Well, it's because you have the 3,000 square foot house. You see.
That's right.
We're not very far apart from each other if I stay on the couch.
Right. Fair enough.
Same here.
So yeah, I guess if any listeners out there have opinions about Cobra Kai, and if anybody has a convincing argument why I should keep watching it, because Will's is not good enough.
It's corn-mazing. It's corn-mazing.
Corn-mazing is not going to happen. Stop trying to make it happen. But I feel cleansed. I feel, a little crane kick to the head, cleansed, ready to talk some politics. No more Cobra Kai references. Okay. So moving on, we're going to talk a couple quick news items, and then I'll get to your thoughts on each of these kind of topics. First, as I mentioned in the intro, Joseph R. Biden Jr. is the president. There was a lot of speculation, especially after the Capitol riots. Jen, I listened to your podcast, and you guys were speculating as you do, but we were doing it here too. What's going to happen on inauguration? What's going to happen leading up? Is there going to be? And it turned out that nothing happened, and I think part of that could be because they brought in like 30,000 National Guards, and there's no way for it to happen. Nobody was invited. But still, it was uneventful. Trump went down to Mar-a-Lago. Apparently, his supporters got really upset with him because they expected him to help rush and take.
They've completely flipped on him, man. Did you see that? The Proud Boys hate him now.
Yes, the Proud Boys are turning on Trump.
Trump was a liberal plant. I saw that.
I didn't see that.
I mean, what? The Proud Boys are he's a huge puss. I mean, Trump, man, I don't know. 2024 is definitely off the table now. Dude got impeached twice. I'm not even sure how that's possible, but that happened.
It's never happened before.
So, I mean...
I feel like he has something up his sleeve.
Tell us more.
Such as?
Yeah, you can't throw that
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I know. So before all this happened, I kind of thought well, maybe we shouldn't piss him off because he's actually made some pretty good relationships with people that we never have in the past. So as America, maybe pissing him off is not the greatest idea because who knows? I don't know how that stuff works. If he can go and, get together with these people and do something, who knows? But, now I don't know what's going on. I do feel like he's doing something, and it might be starting a third party, but I still don't think that would be relevant enough for him. He's got an ego, that he has to fluff up. So I'm not sure being ignored as a third party is up his sleeve.
Well, that is spoiler alert. That's the main topic, and we're absolutely going to talk about that. And I want to expand on that more, Jen, and get your thoughts when we get down to that. So let's just talk about a few things that's happened with Biden. So he has signed more than 30 executive orders since he took office, many of them aimed at reversing Trump's legacy. So some examples of that: he halted the funding for Trump's border wall. He reversed the Muslim travel ban, ramped up vaccine supplies. He just reversed a transgender ban in the military. More set for this week, tackling climate change, policing, healthcare, immigration, that kind of thing. Roger, Mr. Left of Bernie, who doesn't go far enough. What are your thoughts so far on the executive orders, maybe his agenda, and what he's trying to do here?
Well, good. I mean, some of these insane policies have to be stemmed. There's no doubt about it. Does he go far enough? Well, he's a career centrist. But that notwithstanding, the country needs something that can bring us back to the center. Does the center hold? Who knows? Look, Joe Biden wouldn't know a socialist or progressive policy if it bit him in the ass. I mean, let's be honest.
Don't tell the right that. They think he's like a pawn of the left.
Well, yeah, good. I hope so. I hope he's pulled to the left so far that the center doesn't hold any longer. It's.
I
don't know what that means, but okay.
Well,
it sounds good.
It sounds good.
To your point, though. To your point, though.
Well,
doesn't it feel nice though? Twitter is kind of quiet down. You don't hear.
He's not even on.
You don't hear anything about the president on the news 24/7. You know what I mean? The news has to find other stuff to talk about because he's not gonna give them ammo, Biden.
It's gonna be a very boring 4 years.
Thank God. That's what it's supposed to be, bro. I'm supposed to care about this election once every 4 years. Like, all right, political parties, throw out your political turds for me to pick from. I'll pick the least stinkiest one, and then I'll forget about it for 4 more years until you give me a new selection.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
And that's what my wife was saying, is like, the news is boring now. It's just all about trying to ram through policy. It's like, yeah, well, thank God for that, because you no longer have a megalomaniac running the country, and they left it in tatters for them. I mean,
they'll give us something soon.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, look, you rent out a house, right? Okay, so you're the property owner, right? And you go back in, and there's they destroy the porcelain, they destroy the toilet. It's everything like that. You got to pick up the pieces.
Will, what was your expression? He left a floater or an upper decker?
Left an upper decker in the house.
Yes.
On his way out.
A size of odorous excrement would be the proper term.
Nice descriptive language.
Jen, I'm sorry.
You look at his orders, right? I mean, the border wall thing, good. No more funding, right? I saw that he reversed the Muslim travel ban, but he also implemented travel bans on countries for COVID,
right,
which is smart. Kind of, I mean, you could give Trump some credit.
I was going to say, Trump
ban.
He shut down China. That's one thing he did right for COVID. Yep.
Well, yeah, a little bit late, but I mean, and this is the thing about how crazy he is and how self-serving he is. And finally, some of these QAnon, 8chan people are starting to find it out, is the fact that it's all about him. And why he didn't take ownership and proselytize about this fast-tracking this vaccine. I mean, that is not easy to come up with a vaccine for, 600 million people out of a hat. He should have focused on that instead of his insane, egotistic politics.
So I have a question about this vaccine. So I've been seeing a lot of people talk about now that the vaccine efforts from Biden are ramping up, right, and the vaccine is being more widely available. I saw someone say, I would rather get COVID than get
the vaccine.
microchipped and have the government able to kill me when they want.
So this is a question for Jen. I can already. This
is a question for Jen.
We're queuing up Jen on this one.
Are there microchips?
Microchips and vaccines. Go.
No. No microchips.
Speculate.
I've always said I'm like, if they were gonna, why would they put a microchip in us when we literally carry one around 24/7?
That's true. They don't need to.
They don't need to chip us. Okay. The thing that I'm more worried about is stuff that's it's known that vaccines have DNA altering whatever. It happens, right? And for me, I don't need a flu vaccine. I don't need a COVID vaccine, and I don't care that you want one, but don't make me get one, is basically. All the other vaccines I'm cool with. Those were made, to me, back in the day when we were actually being cared for in a way that wasn't like Bill Gates is funding a vaccine and he believes in population control. So...
Oh, there it is.
I knew
the scandals would come. Bill Gates and population control. That was another one that Tommy believed.
But here's my thing: is just if you mandate me to get it or mandate my child to get it, that's when I'm going to have a big problem. Other than that, I don't care.
So that's libertarian.
But don't
that's
say
personal
that I'm
freedoms,
insensitive.
that kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, fair enough.
Well, a couple things.
Also, just the thing that I keep hearing is if you don't get it, you don't care for your fellow so-and-so, or whatnot. And I'm like, that to me is a very far leap to make just because I don't want a vaccine, that just came out in a year.
Here's the thing about the vaccine, right? The people that say that vaccines cause autism, I don't have any patience for you, right? You reject science. I can understand somebody being hesitant about this vaccine specifically, and I'm not saying that I agree with being hesitant. I'm not saying you should be, anything like that. But I can say that I would understand how somebody could be a little more hesitant about this one, given how fast it was, given the race, right? The funding race of companies to develop something.
What is the typical turnaround? It's usually like 4 years. So this was like a quarter of the time. So I agree. I get that side of it. Once again, I can't wait to take the vaccine, but I understand anyone who's hesitant. My mom said I need to wait for it to be out for a little while, and I'm like, I get it. I disagree, but I get it, right? Because as Will said, there's been tons of research on previous vaccines that they don't cause autism, yada yada. But this vaccine, there hasn't been any research. It literally hasn't been enough time. Well, so I at least get that. I get the hesitancy.
The mechenism is a messenger RNA type mechanism, which
not a
unequivocally does not alter your DNA. Just to kind of
no. I know.
Lay that out there.
Yeah. To me, it's just more of being told what to do or made to do something. That like, for me,
would it help if they were like, "Don't get the vaccine. It's not that effective." You'd be like, "Give
no,
it to
I'm
me.
Not that
Give it to me."
Exactly. However, it is some kind of deep-seated, like my parents are telling me to do it, therefore I'm not going to, kind of thing with me. Well, but I just
here's the thing:
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Here's the thing we talked about on the show before, and it's if like the mask thing, right, and the social distancing. And all of the like non-vaccine ways to prevent mass transmission, right? If people would actually take personal responsibility and do those things, people like you who are very hesitant to take the vaccine, you'd be okay. I mean, it's not like a thing that people would say.
It doesn't need to be 100%.
Yeah, you don't need to take it. It's totally optional. No, it would be, hey, we really strongly recommend you get this. But that wouldn't be as risky of a stance, and you wouldn't, I think, have like the visceral negativity of having that kind of stance. But the problem is just people are inherently stupid, and they hate mask mandates. You talk about not being told what to do. I live in the epitome. I live in the pit of Florida, where it's like, my mask is a right. You can't tell me how to live my life if I can't breathe.
That's a horrible Southern accent, by the way.
I literally had someone tell me that George Floyd said I can't breathe, and then we had a problem, but then we're saying we can't breathe, and it's a problem. It's I literally heard that from a woman in Florida. It's like, number one, you just compared two completely different things, and number three, you're an idiot.
Wait, no, it goes deeper than that if you're going to go into that whole, situation, but I get your overall... Yeah, there was some kind of like...
If people
ironic,
here's the other side
about George Floyd.
Here's the other side about it. Well, I don't think you can't chalk it up entirely to stupidity, right? So our culture as Americans, we do not like being told what to do. I mean, we literally broke off from England because they were trying to rule us, and we're like, no, you can't tell us what to do. We've been saying that since the 1700s.
We're a free country,
right? So that's kind of ingrained in our culture. That doesn't always serve us well. In this case, it's not serving us well, but I'm not going to just chalk it up 100% to stupidity. I think there are people who aren't stupid who just feel like that push. The second you tell them you have to do this, it's like, nope, I'm good. Don't even, it could be like the greatest thing in the world. Like, if you do this, it'll cure cancer, but you have to do it. Nope, I'm good. You know what I mean? It's not a stupidity thing as much as it's like an initial gut reaction.
I would also argue, like, we're literally being told that flu numbers are the lowest that they've ever been right now because we're wearing masks. But we're also having the highest COVID numbers we've ever seen because idiots aren't wearing masks. Well, and that to me is like...
Well, part of it is, in fairness, the COVID is much more transmissible than the flu. It's extremely contagious, especially that might not make up for all of it. But it is extremely contagious.
So, one thing that I'm curious about, and this is not on our topic
It's also that they're paying people to say it's COVID. They're paying hospitals to have more numbers of COVID testing and such.
There's the conspiracy
anytime
side. I love it.
Bring money into it, anytime you bring money into it, it's going to inflate the number,
So
I don't know.
I'm curious about this from Roger's standpoint as a New Yorkan, and Brian is a former New Yorkan, right? Who Andrew Cuomo, who was a favorite punching bag of DJ, right, of the Donald, But a lot of
I was thinking, I was like DJ. I'm like, oh, I don't think I've ever heard him referred to as DJ. That makes him sound like he's got like, spinning the.
Yeah,
it makes him cooler than I think he actually is.
With his little baby hands.
Yeah,
a lot of he
has to do little CDs. He can't have the big records.
So a lot of people, Trump crucified Cuomo, right? But a lot of people in New York and a lot of people around the country look at Cuomo as maybe a future Democratic leader. As someone who lived through it in Buffalo, right? How do you feel about the job of Cuomo did handling the pandemic and his current, just him in general?
Well, I mean, honestly, I think he did a really good job at the beginning, to be honest, because I think that him, in conjunction with the Department of Health, discovered that this is going to get out of hand. And what he did in the beginning was really good, and it was not universally applauded, and it still isn't. I think he did a great job as far as shutting down the state. And it's something no one wants to hear. No one wants to hear that they can't go out. They can't go out to the store. They can't go, limit your trips and everything like that. I think he did a really good job, to be honest. But now, as we're on here almost a year, there's certainly some politics involved. And it's distressing, but you kind of expected through what he has done here. He's done a good job, I think. I mean, look, you had to shut it down. I mean, you can't tell. Look, you can't. It's like talking to an 8-year-old. This is what's happening. This is how we're going to deal with it. And if you don't like it, well, I'm sorry. He's done a good job. He has. But over the summer...
Maybe taking it too far.
Yeah, there's a lot of legislation now. Now the bars are certainly, and the restaurants are, like, amazingly opening up again.
If you close the bars in Buffalo, it's like, what else is there?
Well, there's a lot of things to do here in Buffalo.
I know.
It's a great
I've never
city.
been to Buffalo. I just imagine it as just snow and bars.
Make a snowman and
I know what you're saying.
Sad.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Suicide.
He, it's been politicized, and that comes straight out of Albany, the state capital. And there's things that have been done. He's got this kind of, you talk about Biden's executive orders. He's got this kind of nefarious power thing going on, and they are basically piling up everything they wanted to do before this now. And it reminds me a little bit of the 9/11 thing with the Patriot Act. So we're going to see.
Can you give us an example?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
An example, like...
Can you give us an example of what you're talking about? Like, what is he doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I could tell you, right off the top of my head, he has stopped funding to local businesses, and they will withhold county money if you don't comply with your level of testing or your level of positive testing, whatever it is. And they have held the schools by their throat, because if you don't wind up being able to test somebody, that the percentage ratio of 90-something, well, then...
So they're too strict, is what you're saying. Like, they have these regulations in place that are just making it exceedingly difficult for businesses to meet. They're getting the funding as a result, and it hurts the local businesses even more than they're already being hurting. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. And these school districts they're paying the price. I mean, you want to send your kid to school, okay? And this is the problem. This is the latest initiative of the school district that my kids are in now. So it's like this it was the hybrid, right, where you can 2 days a week do Zoom, and then 2 days a week you go to school. But now they have chopped up the school district in itself. So the kindergartners, go 5 days a week, and the other ones have Zoom and then have half days. And that just screws everybody, because what parent who's got to work and has a job to go to, how do you figure that out? Long-winded answer to you, but I think he's done a really good job. But now the politics are involved, and that doesn't do anyone any good.
So I'm going to jump on that and mention my current governor, who is, I also thought handled it. So Gavin Newsom, governor of California, same thing. I thought at the very beginning, California was the first state to shut down. The Bay Area was the first area in the country to shut down. Like, they got out ahead of it. And I was like, and I'm new to California. I'm like, okay, Newsom, I see you. Not anymore. Like, this guy has bungled so many things. He got caught at a restaurant, at a high-end restaurant at a big party with nobody's wearing masks.
Yeah,
and then he goes, and later he goes and shuts down outdoor dining. Like, there's so much study that's not how it's spreading. So that's Will, Jen, you're in states that nothing is really shut down. Roger and I are in states where everything's shut down. Yeah. I don't think either is the solution. Luckily today, California just released it, so I'm getting my hair cut tomorrow. Thankfully, I haven't been able to get my hair cut. Jen, I know you cut hair, so super excited about that. But
yes.
But yeah, so this is governors. They might have, and this is across the country. Short of maybe DeSantis. I think he screwed it up since the beginning. But some of these governors, they had good ideas, and then it just got politicized, or they went too far, and they're losing faith with their constituency. So I want to jump into the main topic now. I'm actually going to skip. I know, Will, I promised you that we would talk about Biden's agenda a little more, but clearly that's not happening tonight. And we'll talk more about, Trump's impeachment, his second impeachment is scheduled. The trial is set for February 9th, which means we have at least another week to talk about that. So we're going to push that off, and we're going to talk about the main topic now. And that is, as Jen mentioned earlier, the possible third party. I have actually been talking about this on this podcast for a few weeks now. Ever since the first episode we had after the election, when that CNBC poll came out, where they polled Trump voters, and 76% of them at that time believed that legitimately believed the election was stolen, that he won. But of those 76%, 73% straight up said if Trump started his own party, they would leave. Now, Jen, you mentioned earlier about how, what kind of power is that behind that? This is actually a lot of power. This man controls the Republican Party. So we've been speculating. Keep using that word for you, Jen. We've been speculating about it for a while, that is he going to actually do this? There was talk of him starting a digital media empire. Well, now there's reports that he's actually entertaining the idea, and it has a name, the Patriot Party. So the topic I want to talk about today... Why not? I thought it would be Trump Party. I'm surprised it doesn't have his name in it, but fine.
It's not the Proud Party?
Yeah, Proud, Patriot. He puts Trump on everything. I'm surprised it doesn't have Trump in it, but I digress. So what I want to talk with you guys today.
Maybe Patriot with a capital T at the end.
Oh, I like your thinking there. Now that's branding. Okay, don't give him any ideas. But what I want to talk with you guys is this thing I've been talking about for a while. I've been speculating this was what's going to happen. My thoughts were that he is going to branch off. He'll start his own party. 3/4 of Republicans are going to go with him. And then you truly have three parties, which honestly isn't the worst thing. And I've been on the record of saying that, but I'm fascinated by this. We've had the two-party system basically since the beginning of our democracy, but now this is the first legitimate chance, I believe, that if he starts this isn't like the Green Party and the Libertarian Party where you'll get 1% of the vote. 3/4 of GOP voters said they would go with him. So what I want to hear from you guys, and as an example of this, in Arizona, the Arizona State GOP actually just voted to punish their current governor, Doug Ducey, former Senator Jeff Flake, and Cindy McCain, who, McCain is a vaunted name in Arizona. They voted to punish them because they opposed Trump's effort to overturn the election results. So, Jen, I want to start with you because you were the first one to allude to this. And you're welcome to throw in your other theories too. But what do you think this might do if he actually makes this real, if he starts the Patriot Party with a capital T?
With a capital T. I think it is doable, like you're saying. You know, like there's never been that much backing behind anyone that ran for third party, but I just don't know what precedent it would set for that party's like genre, you know, moving forward. Like if Trump sets the precedent for the Patriot Party, what comes after that? You know what I mean? Right. Is it just like a line of his kids or something? Like, because
like a dynasty.
I don't think anybody right. Who's gonna move the Trump followers like Trump did?
That's true.
Do they keep following that party, or are they gonna like just give up and go back to the Republican Party and it's just a one-term thing and it never makes it? You know,
that's actually a fantastic
point. That's
point.
Of how I feel like it would
because
win.
This is very much his charisma, his influence over these people. And you're right. What happens? I mean, Trump's old. Eventually, he's gonna die. Yeah. He's not invincible. He might like to think so. So what happens? Don Jr. takes over.
He's not moving enough. I don't think anybody in his family really is
right.
as charismatic in whatever form he is.
Well, they can't because he has such a crushing behemoth shadow that he casts. You know, I mean, I read Michael. I highly recommend Michael Cohen's book, by the way, because he talks about his relationship with Trump and Trump's relationship with his kids. And Trump rides Junior hard. You know, I mean, just like crushes him in front of meetings. I mean, like
Ivanka's his favorite too, right? It's not even
Ivanka, and Kushner by proxy. But yeah, I mean, to that point, actual Republicans aren't going to like that, you know, because all that's going to do is ensure it's going to split the vote, on that side, and Democrats are going to have an easy path to retaining power in the country. So, especially if they can start producing.
I think Democrats have it for the next few times, honestly.
And they had it.
I think Trump paved the way for Democrats just to.
Yeah, and they had it prior to Trump. I think because he was such a charismatic person and he inspired so much motivation in his followers. I think without Trump, like none of these other Republican candidates probably would have beaten Hillary in 2016. You're right. So him.
Well, it's not even that he's. I don't even feel like it's his charisma or anything like that. It's the fact that he was like a real person that we've all been craving. Like, put somebody in there that hasn't been a career politician and screwed up for 47 years or whatnot. Like, that kind of thing. That's why I'm not excited about Biden, because how do you ignore him?
By the way, I don't think anyone's excited about Biden. People who voted for him are not excited about Biden.
I will say
they literally voted for him to get rid of Trump.
Yeah.
That's not a way to put somebody in that place, though. You know, like, if we had a true choice, that's not... You don't just put, like, the second loser. You know what I mean? We're supposed to have a choice. And if we're being honest, it should be two people that are so passionate about our country that they could essentially work together, like, as... You know, the president is the president and the runner-up is the VP, and that would be the best thing for our country.
Don't they do that in the UK or something like that? I don't know. I don't really know.
Well,
I think we used to do it in the United States way back when.
You could also, you know, well, there's a lot of things you could do. I'm not a huge fan of the Electoral College and other things, but you know what? What's funny to me is, why is it always the liberals or the left or whatever you want to call them? I know somebody out there be like, those are not the same thing, but you know what I mean.
There's that bad Southern accent again.
Why is no? That was like the offended person accent.
Oh, they offended. Okay, it sounded exactly like the Southern accent.
Why do the people on the left always have to be centrists? Like, why do we have to be moderate? You never hear about Republicans being like left in some views. You know what I mean? Like, you never hear that. It's always like firm Republican, and then you want your liberals to be like over here. You know what I mean? I just don't.
I'm very much like in the middle, like dancing around in the middle.
Yeah.
I just honestly don't. I'm so torn on the abortion thing. It's a hard one for me. I think that whole situation needs reform. Huh?
I said, as the people are, they get it. That was a bad joke.
Yeah, no abortion jokes, Will. Yeah. Poor taste. Roger, what are your thoughts on this, on the possible Trump Patriot Party?
Oh, well, I mean, I might sound like a little bit of an extremist here, but I think you should take all the Trump supporters and the QAnon and 8chan and treat them the way that America treated black people in the 50s. Give them their own separate water fountain, their own place to dress.
Jeez.
And just get away from.
Wow.
No, I'm just kidding, Jen. Obviously, that's just sarcasm.
I'm not a QAnon person. I'm just not.
It'll have to be a water fountain for people with very small hands.
Right.
I don't even know how to get their information. That's how much I'm not a QAnon person.
I'm just kidding, of course. Well, not really, but yeah. I would say this. I welcome a third party. We need a third and fourth party. This entire system is completely homogenized to where do you stand? Are you the left or are you the right? And what the Trump presidency has done really is brought it all out right in the middle for everybody. But Jen, to speak what you're saying, and you're right, there has to be common ground. And I'm not talking about the quote unquote unity that Biden proposes.
Why is that quote unquote unity's a good thing?
Because it's not going to happen. You have to talk to each other.
I'm an optimist. I can't help but believe.
But no, that's fine. That's fine. But we have to talk.
It just doesn't happen because he steps into the Oval Office. That's not what happens.
Exactly. Oh, no, I agree.
We don't all hug each other.
Right.
Exactly. I mean, you're down in Texas. I'm up in New York. There has to be some kind of common goal between us. And this is what really is the absolute shame. And I can blame Trump all I want, but it comes from Obama, it comes from Bush, and it comes from the other Bush, and Clinton as well. We have to find something that keeps us together. And whether it's economically, and use an extra $230 a month, whatever, or philosophically, we have to find something that brings us together. Because if we
have
don't,
you ever read or seen the movie Watchmen? That's what we need. We need a squid invasion. We need a giant squid to bring the humanity together.
Exactly.
Thank you. I'm glad somebody got that reference.
Let the aliens come in and take it over. No, we have to talk to each other. I mean, really, the short amount of time we have on this earth, we have to figure it out. I mean, how hard can it be to just talk to each other and figure out something? And politically, I understand. If you want to zone out the end of my driveway for something, okay, great, we'll talk. But we have to. We have no other choice. We really don't.
Does your driveway have snow on it? Because that's going to affect my decision.
Oh my God! I got 3 feet last Monday. The plug I gave.
Yeah, so I'm going to skip your. I moved to California to get away, so I will not be on your driveway.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. You just got to embrace it. But really, I mean, the end of my point is, this is all we have, really. There's nothing else coming. You're not going to make any more money. Okay, great. You can make money. Fantastic. Good for you. But this is the life that we try to live with together. Sorry to get all RFK on you.
The country is approaching like an inflection point. You know what I mean? In our democracy, where I think we need to sit back and think like, who do we want to be? Right, as Americans. I mean, we've been stereotyped across the world for a long time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you go anywhere else, and you're like, what is an American, right? You're fat, you eat a lot of greasy food, right? You like to shoot guns, right? And
and the cops
are super religious. You know what I mean? Like, those stereotypes, I mean, that's true, around the world. But now, it's also, super divisive politically, right? And to your point, Roger, about figuring it out, we need to, because, like, And, I think that it starts with just agreeing on some fundamental baseline things.
Some common ground.
Some common ground, right? And I think one of them that we need to get on board with is, like, healthcare, right? Like, just figure that out.
Theoretically, it should be something we all agree on because it affects every single one of us. Yeah.
Right. And, like, personally, one of my more left opinions is I feel like if you're a United States citizen, not a legal immigrant, not a legal immigrant, but if you're a United States citizen, that is part of the social contract that you sign up for, is the ability to have health care. You should be able to buy nicer health care if you can afford it, right? There's my right-hand side coming in. But if you can't afford it, you should be, it shouldn't just be, if you're going to die, we'll save your life. You know what I mean? You should have mammograms and smears and all this other things that you as a woman need on a regular basis.
Smears.
Don't talk about what you don't understand.
I should be able to get my rubber glove up my bunghole.
That sounds like a New York bagel. Like, I'm going to smear it. I'm just going to smear the cream cheese.
You know what I'm saying, though? Like, you should be able to get preventative care, right? A flu shot if you want it. Vaccines. All those things that keep us as a population healthy. If you do that kind of stuff...
But you can if you make under a certain amount of money,
well, if you just don't care about the bills.
That's the thing that's messed up is, like, if you make $1 more, you get taken off of our Medicaid or CHIPS or whatever the, Yeah, right. And it's like, so $1 makes me be able to afford a crazy, expensive medical plan?
Well,
no, what the hell?
They have to draw the line somewhere, but that's the point. They shouldn't have to. Yeah. Right? You should, everybody,
they're keeping the poor.
If you're Mark Cuban, you should be able to go get a free colonoscopy if you love that, and you're that
Apparently
old.
Mark Cuban needs a colonoscopy. You heard it here first.
You know what I'm saying?
Best drugs.
So that's all I'm saying, though, is just
it was great.
Borderline things like that, like college, right? College and student debt, right? And a lot of these things that are polarizing. Like, there are people on the left that think that you shouldn't just cancel student debt. You know what I mean? And if you just think about it, like, there are ways we can help people that are suffering from student debt in, like, a COVID environment without just flat out canceling their debt, right? And making it unfair to everybody and just awful. I hate that plan. So I think, and the other thing is just, I think one of the big crossroads that we're on is social media. This will be the last point I make. It's just, number one, it's the most divisive place ever, right? You have people just being like double birds to another people that shares anything different, right? Biden's a liar, Trump's a bigot, blah, blah, blah. And then they start censoring. Like, social media has gone in this really weird space. They have a lot of power.
Create new platforms that just echo everybody's same theory. So you're going to go to Parler because I don't agree with what Facebook's doing. And when you go to Parler, you hear the same idea over and over. You're not hearing conflicting ideas. You're not hearing a different side. It's just, that's what I think. They think that the whole world must be like this, and that's dangerous.
And that's how Google is made. Google is made to feed you more of what you want to hear.
Right.
Right? So, like, if I'm a liberal, Google is going to feed me liberal stuff. If I'm Republican, it's going to feed me Republican stuff because it's hitting your brain in your, like, little reward center, and it's this echo chamber. And that's the problem with kids, right? Like, I was, I came from deep south Ocala, Florida, right? That was not a, like, diverse environment. We'll put it that way, right? But you go in the military, and you have to work with other people. You're with other countries, other cultures. You learn about other people, and that's the problem, with, like, BLM and, like, the minority race wars or whatever you want to call it. These rednecks and these patriots. There's no diversity. People now have the internet to just tell them what they want to hear. And that's why the country is going like this. That's the part that needs to get figured out. If we just can get more mixing, like Congress, you should have, like, assigned seating in Congress. Like, you know what I mean?
Here's your
like
name tag.
But if you read the articles, all the Republicans eat with the Republicans.
Right.
The liberals eat with the liberals. Right. You should have to go make friends.
It's like the cafeteria in high school.
When
like
they open Congress,
there,
you should have to go give hugs.
There.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We need to curb that somehow.
Well, that was
I agree.
I was saying
I 100% agree. I think that. Go ahead.
No,
what were you saying?
Go for
Brian?
You're on stage, Jen.
No, I mean, I just think it's like we're all stuck, with COVID and like, the atmosphere is stressful, and then here's our election. And I just keep telling people I'm like sitting back, grabbing the popcorn and like just watching the show, because it's just like you said, we're creating echo chambers, but the bigger problem is that the media has created like echo chambers, and that we don't have like one reliable source. We have to actually do our due diligence in digging through all this shit to find like the truth in the matter. Like I was telling Brian earlier, I've heard that Biden's not even granted access to the Pentagon or like the paperwork inside of the Pentagon at the moment or whatever. But there's no way to possibly even find that out. Like, we don't have a source that is 100% credible for that, right? And to me, it was a problem censoring our president from the people, 100%. Him having to go back roads to like some weird YouTube channel to like broadcast anything. I don't know. I think it's a scary place if you look at it going forward.
Yeah, but
the possibilities of. I get that he was inciting whatever, but ultimately we weren't able to get information. And if some national emergency or whatnot had like happened, we wouldn't have gotten the fastest information that, because he tweets like that's his way of getting whatever out. It's just a problem that they can cut people off like that. And if you're only cutting off one side, you're creating an echo chamber. It's just for the side that like, it's for the left side. You know what I mean?
That's a whole other topic. Yeah, that's something we can...
It really is. It really is. But it's dangerous on either side.
Yeah.
And when you create, like you're saying, Parler and all this other crap, like, it's just, like resonating the same idea over and over again. And then you do get angry people doing stupid stuff.
And you can find whatever crazy theory you have. You can find someone else on the internet. You can find a lot of people on the internet who feel exactly like you do to justify those crazy positions, and that just strengthens your beliefs. And then take it further. Yes,
they can like take you even. Oh, but have you heard of this? And then it's like a whole nother rabbit hole or whatever.
Right.
There's actually a Reddit group called QAnon Casualties or something, and it's like people who have had family members that they are legitimately like just done with. They are never going to talk to him again. I read one today that was a woman who was like going to call CPS on her daughter because her daughter was going to like protest wearing masks, and she was putting her child in danger by taking them to the protest. So she was going to get the child removed from the family. And I'm like, this is so divisive, like in so many ways. It's just like, if we're trying to come together, this is it's not happening. We need to change. So I agree with Will in a long-winded way.
Yeah, I think we all agree with that. The next question is, how does that happen? And obviously that's not something we're going to get into right now because we are coming up on time. But great points by everyone. I'm going to say one more point on this before we wrap up. So I don't think the two-party system works. I think we can all agree with that. And while it may create some chaos in the short term, having a third party created this way, maybe this is how we need to do it. Maybe Trump is the person who's going to actually help change the political system, as crazy as that sounds after all of this. And once again, I'm an optimist. I see silver lining. I can't help myself. Will knows this. He's gotten on my case many times about my optimistic attitude. But maybe this is what it takes to split up the GOP, and maybe eventually there's an extreme left party that breaks off and splits up the Democrat Party, and then we've got 4 legitimate parties. One can hope. So I'm going to use that positive, uplifting note to wrap up the show today. I want to thank Roger Walsh from the Rajcast Sportscast. I'm sorry for your bills, but there are good days ahead for you. Thanks for joining us on the Politics Chat. Jen Weintraub, definitely check out her podcast. I will be on it at some point. We're trying to figure out scheduling.
I know, I'm so excited.
Can't wait to come on.
Hey, Will,
there.
You're welcome too.
Yes, get Will in the Discord.
We can have both of you.
Well, what about me?
And Roger.
I'll give
Roger, you can come on too. Let's make it a party, man.
Make it a party. The PPP on the Speculate With Us podcast. So thanks, guys, for joining.
Thank you.
Will, whatever, you're there. You're going to keep showing up week after week, but thanks anyway. Thank you for everybody who listened. If you listened to both the NFL and the politics episode, you're the troopers. Really appreciate you. If you're just here for the politics, happy to have you too. Please leave us some comments. We obviously went through a lot of different stuff tonight. Let us know. Shoot us an email, pigskinsandpolitics@gmail.com, Twitter, official PP Pod, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you want to find us, we're there. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week on the PPP.